and welcome to everyone. And thanks, Christella, for coming back, and Satyamurthy back with us, which is great. We will give a formal welcome to Palitha later, but at the moment we will start with paying respect to the people of this land. I would like to call upon, usually it's Siva who does it generally, but
Okay.
she's coming late, isn't it?
Yes, maybe there. Can you see the screen? I can read it for you all.
Yeah, please do. Thank you.
We acknowledge and pay respect to the past, present, and future traditional custodians and elders of this nation, and the continuation of cultural, spiritual, and educational practices of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples.
I pay my respect as well from Gadigal land that I am in, and you can pay your respect from wherever you are. Yes, this land will always be theirs, and we will always be welcomed by them. Although we all came with white Australians welcoming us in this country, we need their welcome as well to this country. We'll have a piece of music at this time.
At the Benevolent Society, we help you live life on your terms. To live safely.
Like you, no one else can touch my heart like you do, and I could search for all eternity long and find there is none like you. Oh, there is none like you. No one else can touch my heart like you do, and I could search for all eternity long and find there is none like you.
Your mercy flows like a river so wide. Healing comes from your hand. Suffering children are safe in your arms, and there is none like you.
Oh, there is none like you. There is none like you. There's just no one else can touch my heart like you do. Oh, and I could search for all eternity long and find there is none like you. Oh, I could search for all eternity long find that there is none.
There is none.
No, there is none.
There is none.
There is none like you. No, there is none like you. There's no one else, Lord. There's no one else, God, who can touch my heart, who can touch my heart. There is none like you. None like you.
Thank you for the lovely song and meaningful song.
There's another one.
Is there any remover of difficulties? Save God, say praise be God. He is God, all are his servants, and all abide by his bidding. Is there any remover of difficulties? Save God, save praise be God. He is God, all are his servants, and all abide by his bidding.
All abide by his bidding.
Say God sufficeth all things, all things. Say God sufficeth all things, above all things. Say God sufficeth all things, above all things. Nothing in the heavens sufficeth all things, above all things. Sufficeth all things, above all things. Nothing in the heavens sufficeth all things, above all things.
Nothing like being in the arms of God when we are deep in our struggle and pain and suffering. God is our ultimate comfort, peace, and restoration. And we move to this prayer, Silva, the great bell chant, Buddhist prayer for the end of suffering.
Yeah, we will listen to the music.
Yeah.
lắng lặng nghe lắng lặng nghe tiếng chuông huyền diệu đưa về nhất tâm.
May the sound of this bell penetrate deep into the cosmos. Even in the darkest spots, living beings are able to hear it clearly, so that all suffering in them cease, understanding come to their heart, and they transcend the path of sorrow and death. The universal Dhamma door is already open. The sound of the rising tide is heard clearly. The miracle happens. A beautiful child appears in the heart of a lotus flower. One single drop of this compassionate water is enough to bring back the refreshing spring to our mountains and rivers.
Nghe chuông phiền não tan mây khói, lặng thân an miệng mỉm cười. Hơi thở nương chuông về chánh niệm, vườn tâm hoa tuệ xinh tươi.
Listening to the bell, I feel the afflictions in me begin to dissolve. My mind calm, my body relaxed. a smile is born on my lips. Following the sound of the bell, my breath brings me back to the safe island of mindfulness. In the garden of my heart, the flowers of peace bloom beautifully.
Phổ môn vọng tiếng tiểu dưng bé thơ xuất hiện giữa lòng đóa sen, cơm lộ một giọt rơi lên xuân về trên khắp mọi miền núi sông. Phổ môn vọng tiếng tiểu dưng bé thơ xuất hiện giữa lòng đóa sen, cơm lộ một giọt rơi lên xuân về trên khắp mọi miền núi sông.
I'm sure we felt transported to the place of serenity and hope with that exquisite prayer, and listen to the bells in our hearts ringing. We'll go into our readings, and the subject for today is suffering, and Palitha will be there later. It's being one of the central theme in Buddhism. The first reader will be Beta.
John, if you could talk a bit louder, please.
Yeah, Beta will read the first one, and we will please take your turn as you come, otherwise we'll prompt you. Thank you.
Glorified art thou, Lord my God. Every man of insight confesseth thy sovereignty and thy dominion, and every discerning eye perceiveth the greatness of thy majesty and the compelling power of thy might. The winds of tests are powerless to hold back them that enjoy near access to thee, from setting their faces towards the horizon of thy glory. And the tempests of trials must fail to draw away and hinder such as are wholly devoted to thy will from approaching thy court. Methinks the lamp of thy love is burning in their hearts, and the light of thy tenderness is lit within their breasts. Adversities are incapable of strengthening them from thy cause, and the vicissitudes of fortune can never cause them to stray from thy pleasure. I beseech thee, O my God, by them and by the sighs which their hearts utter in their separation from thee, to keep them safe from the mischief of thine adversaries, and to nourish their souls with what thou hast ordained for thy loved ones, on whom shall come no fear, and who shall not be put to grief. Baha'u'llah. Be ye a refuge to the fearful, bring ye rest and peace to the disturbed. Make ye a provision for the destitute, be a treasury of riches for the poor. Be a healing medicine for those who suffer pain. Be ye doctor and nurse to the ailing. Promote ye friendship and honor, and conciliation and devotion to God in this world of non-existence. Abdul Baha. This that irks the sense life thrilling to the elements, bringing thee heat and cold, sorrows and joys. This brief and mutable, bear with it. The soul which is not moved, the soul that with a strong and constant calm takes sorrow and takes joy indifferently, lives in the life undying. Hinduism, Bhagavad Gita.
Birth, let's start. Birth is suffering, decay is suffering, death is suffering. Sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, and despair are suffering. Not to get what desires is suffering. In short, the 5 groups of existence are suffering. And what, in brief, are the 5 groups of existence? They are corporeality, feeling, perception, mental formations, and consciousness. The Eightfold Path Buddha word. Driven by fear, men take to many a refuge in mountains, forests, parks, sacred groves, and shrines. But these are not a secure kind of refuge. By taking this sort of refuge, one is not released from suffering. He who has gone to Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha for refuge, though this is a secure, this is the ultimate refuge.
Go to bathroom.
By taking to this
go. Early morning you should go. That's the first thing you do.
We can't hear you. Palitha, we can't hear you. You are mute. You are mute. You have to unmute yourself again.
Right. So
Yes,
I'll
yes.
read it from the start, okay?
Yes.
Yes. Birth is suffering, decay is suffering, death is suffering. Sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, and despair are suffering. Not to get what one wants or what one desires is suffering. In short, 5 groups of existence are suffering. And what, in brief, are the 5 groups of existence? They are corporeality, feeling, perception, mental formations, and consciousness. The Eightfold Path Buddha. Driven by fear, men take, sorry, okay?
Yes.
Driven by fear, men take to many a refuge in mountains, forests, parks, sacred groves, and shrines. But these are not a secure kind of refuge. By taking to this sort of refuge, one is not released from suffering. He who has gone to Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha for refuge, though this is a secure refuge, this is the ultimate refuge. By taking to this refuge, one is indeed released from all suffering. Buddhism, the Dhammapada.
You can continue to read.
Okay. We will surely prove you by afflicting you in some measure with fear and hunger and disease of wealth, decrease of wealth and loss of lives, scarcity of fruits. Those who patiently persevere will truly receive a reward without measure. Oh no, soul do. We place a burden greater than it can bear. Islam, Muhammad, Quran. The Proverbs of Solomon. A wise son maketh a glad father, but a foolish son is the grief of his mother. Treasures of wickedness profit nothing, but righteousness delivereth from death. The Lord will not suffer the soul of the righteous to famish, but the thrusteth away the desire of the wicked. He becomes poor that dealt with a slack hand, but the hand of the diligent maketh rich. A wise son gathereth in summer, but a son that doth shamefully sleep in harvest. Blessings are upon the head of the righteous, but the mouth of the wicked conceals violence. The memory of the righteous shall be for a blessing, but the name of the wicked shall rot. The wise in heart will receive commandments, but a prating fool shall fall. Judaism, Kesuvim.
Marina. Marina.
You had to unmute, Marina.
Sorry. For this is thankworthy if a man for conscience toward God endure grief, suffering wrongfully. For what glory is it, if when ye be suffered for your faults, ye shall take it patiently? But if when ye do well and suffer for it, ye take it patiently, this is acceptable with God. Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for there is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are ye when men shall revile you and persecute you, and shall say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake. Rejoice and be exceedingly glad, for great is your reward in heaven. For so persecuted they the prophets which were before you. Though our outward man perish, yet the inward man is renewed day by day. Christianity, the New Testament. Humbleness, truthfulness, and harmlessness, patience and honor, reverence for the wise, purity, constancy, control of self, contempt of sense delight, self-sacrifice, perception of the certitude of ill. In birth, death, age, disease, suffering, and sin. Detachment, lightly holding unto hope. Children and wife, and all that bindeth men, bindeth men. And ever tranquil here in fortune's good, and fortune's evil with a will set firm, to worship me, me only, ceasing not, loving all solitude, and shunning noise of foolish crowds, endeavors to solve, to reach perception of the utmost soul, and grace to understand what gain it were, so it to attain this is true wisdom, prince, and what is otherwise ignorance. Hindu Bhagavad Gita. O son of man, for everything there is a sign. The sign of love is fortitude under my decree, and patience under my faith trials. O son of man, if adversity befall thee not in my path, how canst thou walk in the ways of them that are content with my pleasure? If trials afflict thee not in thy longing to meet me, how wilt thou attain the light in the love of my beauty? Baudullah.
Verily, God hath made adversity as a morning dew upon his green pasture, and a wick of his lamp, which lights earth and heaven. Blessed are the steadfastly enduring, they that are patient under ills and hardships, who lament not over anything that befall up them on, and who tread the path of resignation. He will never deal unjustly with anyone, neither will he task a sword beyond its power. He verily is the compassionate, the all-merciful. Learnings from anybody can be happy in the state of comfort, ease, health, success, pleasure, and joy. But if one will be happy and contented in the time of trouble, hardship, and prevailing disease, it is the proof of nobility. Stablets. And Job, when he cried unto his Lord, saying, Lord, adversity afflicteth me, and thou art most merciful of all who show mercy. Then we heard his prayer and removed that adversity from which he suffered, and we gave him his household that he had lost, and the like thereof along with them. A mercy from our store, and a remembrance for the worshippers. And Dunnan, when he went off in anger and deemed that we had no power over him, but he cried out in the darkness, saying, there is no God, save thee, be thou glorified. Lo, I have been a wrongdoer. Then we heard his prayer and saved him from the anguish. Thus we save believers. Quran.
It's still there.
So too will solid gold wondrously gleam and shine out in the assail's fire. It is clear then that tests and trials are for sanctified souls, but God's bounty and grace, while to the weak they are a calamity, unexpected and sudden. These tests, even as thou didst write, do but cleanse the spotting of self from off the mirror of the heart, till the sun of truth can cast its rays thereon, for there is no veil more obstructive than the self, and however tenuous that veil may be, at the last it will completely shut a person out and deprive him of his portion of eternal grace. Selections from the writing of Abdul Baha. O Son of Man, my calamity is my providence, and outwardly it is fire and vengeance, but inwardly it is light and mercy. Hasten thereunto, that thou mayest become an eternal light and an immortal spirit. This is my command unto thee, do thou observe it. Baha'u'llah. Proclaim thou ever unto the poor, ever mayest thou wait here for the refuse that is brought unto thee, brought by those who have profusion of wealth. Thus the Dewy will not fall upon thee and throw thee away. Thou wilt wield kingly power there. The law of Mazda will not deliver thee unto pain. Thou art entreated for charity by the whole of the living world, and she is ever standing at thy door in the person of thy brethren. In the faith, beggars are ever standing at the door of the stranger, amongst those who beg for bread. The Zend Avesta fragments. Oh, sorry, I read 6. Sorry, my
Nice.
apologies.
Okay. It's okay. I think, Colin, you might take over from there.
My apologies.
No worries.
Mhm.
Although the fig tree shall not blossom, neither shall fruit be in the vines, the labor of the olive shall fail, and the fields shall yield no meat. The flock shall be cut off from the fold, and there shall be no herd in the stalls. Yet I will rejoice in the Lord. I will joy in the God of my salvation. King James Bible. Grief and sorrow do not come to us by chance. They are sent to us by the divine mercy for our own perfecting. While a man is happy, he may forget his God. But when grief comes and sorrows overwhelm him, then will he remember his Father who is in heaven, and who is able to deliver him from his humiliations. Men who suffer not attain no perfection. The plant most pruned by the gardeners is that one which, when the summer comes, will have the most beautiful blossoms and the most abundant fruit. The laborer cuts up the earth with his plough, and from that earth comes the rich and plentiful harvest. The more a man is chastened, the greater is the harvest of spiritual virtues shown forth by him. The soldier is no good general until he has been in the front of the fiercest battle and has received the deepest wounds. Abdul Baha.
Ganga.
The darkness of this gloomy night will pass away. Again, the sun of reality will dawn from the horizon of the hearts. Have patience, wait, but do not sit idle. Work while you are waiting, smile while you are worried with monotony. Be firm while everything around you is being shaken. Be joyous while the ugly face of despair grins at you. Speak aloud while the malevolent forces of the netherworld try to crush your mind. Be valiant and courageous while men all around you are cringing with fear and cowardice. Abdul Baha. O son of my handmaid, be not troubled in poverty, nor confident in riches. For poverty is followed by riches, and riches are followed by poverty. Yet to be poor in all save God is a wondrous grief. Belittle not the value thereof, for in the end it will make thee rich in God, and thus thou shalt know the meaning of the utterance. In truth, ye are the poor, and the holy words, God is the all-possessing. Shall even as the true morn break forth gloriously resplendent upon the horizon of the lover's heart, and abide secure on the throne of wealth. Baha'u'llah.
Mapa. Mapa around? Got to unmute yourself if you're there.
So maybe we can ask Panja. Can you read Panja?
I'll try. Thou knowest full well, O my God, the tribulations have showered upon me from all directions, and that no one can dispel or transmute them except thee. I know of a certainty, by virtue of my love for thee, that thou wilt never cause tribulations to befall any soul unless the desirest to exalt his station in thy celestial paradise, to buttress his heart in this earthly life with the bulwark of thine all-compelling power, that it may not become inclined towards the vanities of the world. Indeed, thou art well aware that under all conditions I would cherish the remembrance of thee far more than the ownership of all that is in the heavens and on the earth. So, strengthen my heart, O my God, in thine obedience and in thy love, and grant that I may be clear of the entire company of thine adversaries. Verily, I swear by thy glory that I learn for naught besides thyself, nor do I desire anything except thy mercy, nor am I apprehensive of aught save thy justice. I beg thee, forgive me as well as those whom thou lovest, whosoever thou pleased. Verily, thou art Almighty, the bountiful. Immensely exalted art thou, O Lord of the heavens and earth, above the praise of all men, and may peace be upon thy faithful servants, and glory be unto God, Lord, the Lord of all the worlds, the Bab. Do you want me to read the rest, or is it?
No, it's a chant.
Chant, okay.
Listen to music.
Sorrow not if in these days and on this earthly plane things contrary to your wishes have been ordained and manifested by God for days of blissful joy, of heavenly delight are assuredly in store for you. Worlds holy and spiritually glorious will be unveiled to your eyes. You are destined by Him in this world and hereafter to partake of the benefits, to share in their joys, and to obtain a portion of their sustaining grace. To each and every one of them you will no doubt attain. To each and every one of them you will no doubt attain. To each and every one of them you will no doubt attain. To each and every one of them you will no doubt attain.
We now come to the point where we are going to listen to Palitha. Am I right, Siva?
Yes.
Yeah. One thing that struck me while we were going through the readings and listening to songs was that we come from different religious backgrounds, and then this is a call for us to be in the place of the other and experience their spiritual pearls, so to say, the light that they receive from the one God and one divine being. When it comes to Buddhism, I'm sure Palitha will be able to enlighten about the enlightenment of Buddha himself in this particular situation. And I think, Palitha, we are so grateful for your presence today, and that you are going to present your talk today. I was trying to see, I should have given you a call to find out more about it, but I have it Googled. So you are an independent civil engineering professional, and from the Bureau of Meteorology, University of New South Wales. Background, engineer back from Sri Lanka, and your postgraduate studies here in this country in 1979, long time ago. And you have been a hydrologist, design engineer, and you have been assistant director in Mahavali Authority of Sri Lanka, and an irrigation engineer. And probably you were with Siva in the university when you were all going through engineering studies. So we appreciate your educational background, but we also appreciate your publications like Antarjal, Kavi Sanvada, Poetic Dialogues Through Internet in 2014, and Li Ying, if I'm not pronouncing properly, forgive me, you can correct me later, and my with an inverted comma, hyphenated Ying, a collection of essays on some deeper aspects of Buddha Dhamma from Buddhist Cultural Center in Dehiwala in Sri Lanka in 2011. And you have written about water resources of Sri Lanka as well. So you are deep in your spirituality. At the same time, you are deep in the life of Sri Lanka covered by water and providing the resources for people. So, Your Honors, you have been a winner of the CDE Ceylon Development Engineering Award for the best paper published in the Engineer Journal of the Institution of Engineers in Sri Lanka in 1984-85. That was a long time ago. So with that introduction, and we are privileged to have you in our midst, and please share with us what is in your heart and mind. Thank you.
Thank you very well, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much, John, for the lengthy introduction. Actually, Siva asked me whether I could talk on some topic of my choice. So it is on Buddhism, but it's a subject which I have been fascinated with, so I'll talk about today's lecture or today's talk is about Shana Sampatti, if I call it. Shana Sampatti, I'll explain what that is. The two words, Shana Sampatti. Shana is the tiniest portion of time. Shana is a Sanskrit word. It's a Sanskrit word, and it's taken into Sinhalese as well, Shana. Shana is the tiniest moment. All right. Shana Sampatti. Sampatti is an asset or something which has a demand. And if something is found in plenty and no one cares for it, it cannot be a sampatti, it cannot be an asset. So asset is something scarce and what people are looking for it, as how people value it. Okay, Shana Sampatti. So it's the direct meaning is asset of the moment, asset of the moment. Why I took this topic is I'm just going to start with a stanza given by Buddha, Lord Buddha, and it's of 6 lines. Just bear with me. Those 6 lines are in Pali language, but I'll try and explain what it is. And I'll give you a briefing on Buddha. Lord Buddha is a human being like you, me, or anybody else, and he lived about 2,600 years ago in India, and he was a son of a provincial king in India, northern India. But the only difference of us and Lord Buddha is he had developed his mind to such an extent that he looked at the world with a sort of a super mundane chitta or super mundane mind, whereas we ordinary people, we are looking at the world with a mundane chitta, okay, mundane mind. Okay, having said that, and also Buddha said, I'll add this, that no one, and there's no compulsion in what it says to follow. And if you feel like it's worthwhile, follow me, otherwise it's just left open. There's no compulsion. So having said that, coming to Buddha's particular stanza or the Gatha, he said, there are 6 lines, Bhikkave appamadena sampadeta. I'll read the full stanza. Bhikkave appamadena sampadeta, durlabo buddhutpado lokasmin, durlabo manusatta patilabo, durlaba kana sampatti, durlaba pabbajja, durlabang saddhamma savana. Those are the 6 lines. Just bear with me for the first line, which is the most important thing. Bhikkave appamadena sampadeta. That means, Bhikkave means dear bhikkhus. He's addressing the monks. So Bhikkave is there. Appamadena sampadeta. Sampadeta is work hard or thrive hard. For what? To be appamado. Appamada is the Pali word. So the Sinhala word equivalent is apramada. And opposite of apramada is pramada. What does pramada mean? Pramada is delay. Pramada is delay or lapse or absence. So apramada becomes non-absence. So you have to listen to, please listen to this carefully. So apramada means non-absence. Non-absence. Non-absence of what? Non-absence of, he uses another two words which is not here. Sati sampajanna. So I'll explain. Sati means mindfulness. Sampajanna means clear comprehension. So in other words, work hard to thrive hard, to be in non-absence of mindfulness and clear comprehension. Okay, so when you say, when someone says non-absence, it is full presence. So full presence of mindfulness and clear comprehension. That's what it is. Okay, that that's the first line. Then I'm getting to the last other 5 lines. Durlabo buddhutpado lokasmin. That's Durlabo means rare. It's a rare thing. To a buddhutpado lokasmin. Buddha being born in a world, in this world, is a rare thing, rare event. Okay. Third line, Durlabo manusatta patilabo. Someone being born as a human being in this world is a rare thing. Third line. Fourth line, Durlabha Khana Sampatti. This is like the Kshana Sampatti. The today's topic is in Sanskrit word Kshana Sampatti. The Pali word is Khana Sampatti. So this is also Khana Sampatti is Kshana Sampatti is a rare thing. I'll come to it in detail later. The fifth line, Durlabha Pabbaja. That means rare it is for someone to be a clergy or a hermit or a monk. It's a rare thing. Then the last line, Durlabha Saddhamma Savanam, that is, it's rare for someone to listen to Buddha Dhamma. So those are the rare things he has come out with. And with the first line, work hard to be in non-absence of mindfulness and clear comprehension. That's what it is. Now, if I put it more mathematically, the 4 lines or the 5 lines from 2nd to the 6th, it is Durlabo Buddhutpado Lokasmi. That is a Buddha being born in this world is a rare thing. So if I put it mathematically, it will say, when is a Buddha being born? Once in a kalpa or something. That, or for easy calculation, I'll say 1 in 50 years, 50,000 years, Buddha being born. Okay. Then third line, Manusatta Patilabo, that's rare is somebody to be born as a human being. So I'll take the same possibility, 1 over the 50, once in 50,000. Okay, just for a simple calculation. For someone to be born as a human being, that's, you could be born as a cat, dog, or anybody, but the chance of you being born as a human being, say I'll take for easy calculation 50,000 years, once in 50,000 years. Then the fourth line, the Khana Sampatti, that is the topic. The Shana Sampatti is also a rare thing. I'll take the same probability. Okay, 1 over 50,000. And the Durlabha Pabbaja, for someone to be a hermit or a monk, the chance, I'll take the same probability. And then the Durlabho Saddhamma Savanam, the last line, for someone to hear the Buddha Dhamma, because if you are in Nigeria or Ethiopia or some country, South America, you won't have the chance to listen to Buddha Dhamma. So it's say I'll take the same probability, 51 in 50,000 years. What I'm trying to get at is, for someone to be born in this world with when the Buddhism is available or something. So so it will be a multiple of probabilities for someone to be born during the time for being as a human being. During when Buddha is born. So it's a so 1 over 50,000 times 1 over 50,000, and the other one into 1 over 50,000 into 1. So it's a with a huge probability, right? So what they are trying to say is, this is a rare chance as a human being. So so make use of that to be in appamado, that is to work hard, to be in non-absence of mindfulness and clear comprehension. Now I'll say that, so for the crux of it is clear comprehension, to be mindful in non-absence of mindfulness and clear comprehension. Now I'll explain what mindfulness is. Mindfulness is non-judgmental observation. I repeat, non-judgmental observation. That is, you're observing, but you're not going into judgments. Say, you see things, I see a pen, whatever around me, I don't see value it as it, whether it is, evaluate whether it is good or bad, or nice or ugly. I don't go into it, just observe it, non-judgmental observation. And sometimes it is being referred to as bare attention. That is, it is, you are attentive, but bare, there's a bare part. Or sometimes it's referred to as mindfulness, as is being referred to as superficial awareness. You are aware of it, but being just superficial, on surface. So why is it? Because when you are in that, you are supposed to be in at the present moment. Now, to be in the present moment all the time is a tough ask, because if you take 3 moments and take the middle one, so the first one was just a minute ago, just a moment ago is future. Now it's present, and then it is gone to past. So it's future, present, past. It keeps on moving all the time. To be in the present moment, because if you happen to see, if I happen to see a pen now, say my thoughts are, oh, it's a nice pen, it's a Parker pen. If I think of that, I have lost the presence because it had gone to past. So it's right, to be in the present is the crux of it. So now, having I'll get to the main topic. Main topic is Kshana Sampatti. This the chance one gets to be born as a human being without a deformity, without any abnormality. Some people explain it that way, but it is a wrong concept, because it's asset of the moment. So asset of the moment can't be just being born as a human being, and also it is covered in the second line. It's a rare chance for someone to be born as a human being. That's referring to a normal human being. So it's covered. So that's a wrong concept to say that is asset of the moment. Now I'm going to explain what this asset of the moment is. Asset of the moment is, and it is now Kshana. Kshana is the, as I said, tiniest moment of time. Now, if you take a big slab of time and make it to smaller, thin slice it, say 1 hourly slabs. And if you take that 1 hour into thin slicing into 60 equal slices, then one becomes a minute. Take that minute into thin slicing of 60, it becomes a second. Like that. So that's so Kshana is related to, Kshana is the time taken for the eye, blinking of the eye, or smallest time interval. But it's all time in the usual concept is all related to how it all started with the pendulum of the clock, the one oscillation. So it's the pendulum starts from one end, goes to the other end and comes back. It's one oscillation. So how many oscillations are there in a minute, or that type of thing? So Kshana is, in the usual practice, is being referred to as that. That's the usual, customary way. But what I'm saying is, Kshana in Buddha Dhamma is different. And that's what I'm going to explain. Kshana is explained as the time interval between two thoughts, two adjacent thoughts. So that means, now, please listen to this carefully. Time interval between two adjacent thoughts. That means the first thought, there's a start, there's an end. Second thought, there's a start, there's an end. So what is Kshana is the time elapsed between
Hello.
end of the first thought, end of the first, something happened here. Is that okay, Siva? Can you hear me?
We can hear you, but others, please mute your microphone.
Yeah.
You continue, please.
Yeah. I'm getting to a sort of a deeper aspect. That's what. So please listen to this carefully. Yeah. So what did I say? The definition of Buddha Dhamma, the definition of Shana in Buddhism.
Yeah.
This is the same concept. This same definition has prevailed in the old Indian culture, and also I was told it is being referred in the old Vedas and all that. So what it is time elapsed between the end of the first thought and the start of the second thought. So that empty space, empty time period, that's a shana. So this shana is not uniform like the shana in the usual practice. All shanas are equal in the usual practice, but here shana could vary because if it is a mundane person, time interval between two adjacent thoughts is very minute, very insignificantly small. Whereas a person who has done meditation, vipassana bhavana, or a person who is arahat or Lord Buddha, the thought interval between the time interval between two thoughts will be large. So that's what. And so it will vary from person to person. It will vary from person to person. And I'll give you an example. That is, analogy would be like if there's a big dictionary of 1,000 pages, and if you keep it at a distance table, from distance, it could look like one single block. But between two adjacent pages, like page 548 and 550, because 548 is on one side, 549 is the other, adjoining one is 550. So between the two pages of 548 and 550, there's a, however, though it looked one single block, there's a tiny space delta t between these two pages, however small that is. Likewise, ordinary human being, now I see this, I see that, I see that, this, so I get thoughts all the time. So between any two thoughts, however small, there's a time interval, however, in between two thoughts. So that could be delta t, where t is the time here. In the dictionary, t is the thickness of space. So that's an analogy. So whatever it is, this thickness, this delta t minute, the time interval, that's a shana. Shana becomes an asset. It becomes asset, means it's in demand because this no mind state between or the empty mind state between two thoughts is there you find a tinge of nirvana. So and Buddha capitalized on it. So those who do meditation, they'll be able to explore that little time interval, make it bigger. And if you can make it the whole life type of thing, so that person is in no mind state. No mind state. So to get to this, only you need this appamado, to be in what you call, what's the crux word? Thrive hard to be in non-absence of mindfulness and clear comprehension. To do this, to enjoy this, and Buddha has said appamado is, in Buddha's very last word to the public was appamado amatapadan. That means work hard to be in appamado. And appamado amatapadan, that's appamado is nirvana. If you can really work it out, that no mind state or the empty mind state is nirvana. But to get to that, you need to have what you call, you need to have panya. Panya is I'll explain, it's a Pali word, panya, but the equivalent Sanskrit word is prajna, or the singular word is prajna. Prajna means wisdom, or it could be, what is wisdom? Wisdom is is insight or insightful knowledge. Insightful knowledge. So, though it is said as insightful knowledge, the correct meaning of panya is, I'll come to this old, in India, in Buddhist culture, we have what you call Milinda Nagasena discussion. That is, in the good old days, whatever the time period in history, there has been a king called Milinda, lived in India, and there have been an Arhat named Nagasena. So King Milinda has studied Buddha Dhamma very well, and he himself has asked a series of questions from Arhat Nagasena. So one of those questions is, what is panya? What is prajna, or what is, right? So King Arhat Nagasena's answer was, it is illumination without defilements. I repeat, illumination without defilements. That's if someone can possess an illuminating mind without defilements. What are defilements? Defilements are lobha, dvesha, and moha. I'll explain. If someone can possess an illuminating mind without, lobha is greed, dvesha is hatred, and moha is the feeling of I and mine. So if someone can be free of greed, hatred, and the feeling of I and mine, that this place is going to be a wonderful place. Look, Buddha would have looked at the whole world without greed, hatred, and the feeling of I and mine. The whole problem is, in our society, we as human beings, I try to say, I want to possess everything. I want to have that, this, that. So that's greed. That's greed. I need not explain what greed is. Hatred is because in trying to get that, there may be opposition for it, and there'll be opponents, and you tend to arguments, all this, and there'll be the hatred developing. So greed, hatred, and feeling of I and mine. That's again the greed. That's it's I and mine. So that's that clannish effect coming in. That's why all the world, the disputes in the world, again, this country against the other country, all that is our country, otherwise our group, other group, that our thing is the feeling of I and mine. So if someone, that's why all these disputes are these categorizations. So Buddha had looked at the world without, it's a mind, it's an illuminating mind without greed, hatred, and feeling of I and mine. So that's what Buddhism is for. But panya is not panna. You can't have it. There's a standard method Buddha prescribed to have it. And then once it is properly followed, panya udapadi, that wisdom pops up. Popping up means, I'll give you an example. It is like you are making a baby to sleep. You rock the baby around. And then while doing that, baby is not happy. Baby would turn around or hug a pillow or do something. That is to fulfill the conditions he requires. Once the conditions are fulfilled, sleep comes. Sleep happens. So sleep you can't buy from shops. You can't go to the shop and say, get me so much of sleep. No, sleep happens. For the sleep to happen, you have to fulfill certain conditions. Likewise, for panya to happen, for wisdom to come, there's a step for stipulated conditions stipulated by the Buddha. So the conditions are, I'll run through it quickly, the Noble Eightfold Path. Noble Eightfold Path one has to follow. The first step is Samadhi, that's the right understanding or right view one must have. Then Samma Sankappa, that is the right concepts one must have. Then Samma Vacha, the correct words he should speak. Samma Kammanta, correct bodily actions one must do. Then Samma Ajiva, correct livelihood one must follow. Then Samma Vayama is the correct attempts, effort. Then Samma Sati is correct mindfulness. And then Samma Samadhi is correct concentration. Those 8 things you have to do. And of which Samma Sati, the one but the last one, that's the mindfulness which I am coming. Mindfulness is the non-judgmental observation. I said, as I started, it's non-judge. I said, what is it? Appamada means to be in non-absence of mindfulness and clear comprehension. So mindfulness, you have to train, and that you have to develop. There's a standard procedure. Therefore, you have to someone will have to establish the 4 foundations of mindfulness. There's a standard procedure, and it's covered in 16 steps. And once these 6, if someone seriously follows it and follows it correctly, then Panya would prop up. The wisdom will come. And when wisdom comes, you are looking at the whole world without greed, hatred, and the feeling of I and mine. That's the appamado. That's the very first one I said. Work hard, thrive hard. You have to work for it. Work hard to be in non-absence, or full. Non-absence means full presence. To be in full presence of mindfulness, mindfulness and clear comprehension. So this is what the Shana Sampatti is. To finish it, Shana Sampatti is the Shana is the tiniest moment of time that is the Sampatti. So I said it's the asset moment. If someone can explore that and be in that for the rest of the life, like that person has achieved what Buddha as a way to see. But this is not compulsory, but someone, it's open for anyone. It's like, I would say, I don't want to equate Isaac Newton with Buddha, but I'm just trying to say Newton's third law: every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So and Newton is dead and gone. So likewise, Buddha is dead and gone. But Newton's actions, I mean, if someone wants to know, it's available. And but if you don't, again, nothing for Newton, nothing for the followers either. So it's no compulsion. So I think you got some idea what I'm trying to say in a nutshell. I'll try to answer if I could. If you have, it's open for discussion.
I'll unmute myself. Palitha, this is fascinating. Not only fascinating, very insightful. I just got caught up in that little space. I don't know how to expand it.
Because this is logical, and you have to. It's could be stress on the mind, because it's like the mathematical computations type of.
Yeah, it is really fascinating. I mean, when to start the ball rolling, when we did theology in Pilimatulava in the early 70s,
right,
74. We wanted to be close to the university so that we can resonate with the thoughts from the university. That's why they chose Pilimatulava. While we were there, the first thing we were taught was Buddhism, and then Hinduism and Islam, and we were trained, or we were given the freedom, but wanted us to first know the religions of the country, of our people, before we become clergy in our own churches. And we were, all of us, at the end of Buddhism class, were actually fascinated. We thought this is that close to our understanding in Christianity, but at the same time, it's a philosophy, but something that anyone could embrace, anyone could live by. And only then we moved on to the next my younger sister married Dr. L.A.D. Silva's son. You know, Dr. Lynn A.D. Silva. He was WCC person with the Dialogue magazine, and also wrote a few books on Buddhism and Christianity. So I have all his books with me, and they are very close to us. I was a good friend of his when he died young anyway. But he, as a person as well, didn't see any difference in the way that he approached Christ and approached Buddha. So having said that, I'll open the conversation to others with that open mind, and the Shana Sampat is really, really something that we can delve into. And I'm glad that I was born in that particular place, within that, and I hope I'll be an asset as well. So I'll open the conversation. Thank you. Questions and reflections, please. Keep it short so that we will get more people to talk.
Jung wants to say something.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your introduction and your explanation about Buddhism. Can I please ask you, well, one of the theories that I read, that Buddha, he was already a god on a universe level. He very high up as a god already before he was born as a prince. And then the time that he was on earth is just the time that he sit under the trees and meditated himself, become Buddha after, a certain lifetime. So, but in one of the theories that I read, that he was already a god, just like Jesus was the son of God. That's what he claimed. So therefore, Buddha was a teacher of how to get people out of suffering and get them to enlightenment. So that's one notion that I remember. The other major theories of Buddha is about reincarnation. And reincarnation plays a very important part in Buddhism study. So my question to you, please, this is too new to talk about. The people who died of COVID-19, millions of them, if they died of a medical condition, pandemic, time like that, what's gonna happen to reincarnation of them? Because they were taken out of life by some sort of illness, and therefore they will be like a mass souls that exist from the earth and go into the universe, and whether they be accepted by Buddha or by other forces, we don't know. But if the majority of them probably Buddhists anyway. So what happened to reincarnation theory of the Buddhist study and teaching?
Yes, I'll come to this. You're trying to come to what you're aiming at is the karma. I think that in Buddhism, the rebirth is how they explain it is like this: every moment things are changing, the thought process is changing, and at the final moment of one's life, this life, and depending on the final moment, the next birth is facilitated. So if what they say is, if there is a bad thought in the last moment, if there's a greedy thing, then someone is bound to go for a bad rebirth. Or if he's with a religious or healthy, pure mind without greed, hatred, and the feeling of iron mind, then if he's in a sound thing, he might be born in a more better place. So, but what shall I say? Buddha mentioned all this, the existence. May I take this time to explain generally? Buddha said there were 5 niyamas, 5 laws that is existing in this world. First law is law of first law is that's it. it doesn't come to my mind. Law of
Really?
No, law of species.
You mean karma?
No, yeah, karma is one of those. What I'm trying to say is karma is the fifth one, but there is a law of what's it called? Let me say. It doesn't come to my mind. The five.
You read what you saw.
Sriyani, what's the Panchaniyama? Yeah, right, I got it. First one is Irtuniyama. Irtuniyama is law of seasons. That is, seasons are happening, winters are coming and going according to a certain pattern. Whether we like it or not, the world, there are seasons go there, it's happening in a certain pattern. Law of season. Second one, law of species. That is like apple is got from apple tree, or something else is from something else. Orange is from orange tree. There's a certain law pattern, law of species. Number two. Then the other one, law of Dhamma. Dhamma is like physically, it is like gravitation or something. Water is something is dropping from high. Water is dropping from height to the bottom, not from bottom to top. There's a certain pattern. There's a law. And also in spiritually, there's anyone, even the Buddha is likely to face the Atalo Dhamma, Atsaloka Dhamma. That is Labha Alabha. That's if you are doing a business, there's profit and loss. Labha Alabha, right? Yasa Ayasa, fame, ill fame. Ninda Prasansa, that's insults, and somebody may insult you, somebody may praise you. Or Dukkha Sapa, that's Dukkha, that is happy feeling, unhappy feeling. Those 8, anyone will have to pay away. So that is the Dhamma. So from start, it's the Ittuniyama, that's the law of seasons, Bijaniyama, law of species, Dhammaniyama, law of nature. Okay. Then fourth one is law of Chitta, Chitta Niyama, that is law of consciousness. That is, say if you hear Peradeniya University, it comes into my mind. How it comes, I don't know, but it comes too. And then if there's a particular drama or some activity, accident happen, it comes, the whole procedure comes to one's mind straight away. That's law of consciousness. There's a certain law. Fifth one is law of karma, where if someone has done good karma, he'll be faced with the good effects. If you have done bad, you'll have to face the bad effects. So karma. So these are the 5. Of these 5, law of Ittuniyama, Bijaniyama, Dhammaniyama, Chittaniyama, law of species, law of seasons, law of species, law of nature, and law of consciousness. All 4, you can't do anything. Only thing you can do is the law of karma. So karma, you must do good karma, then you will end up with good results. So now to answer this lady about how these people would be born would depend on the karma they have done in their previous lives. That's the answer I could give. But I don't know whether I have answered you enough.
Jung, are you happy? You happy with the answer? All those 1 million people, 8 million people have died in the world, I think. You know, the 1 million people have died. What did they think at the end of their life? But
like what the last thought would have been.
Thought in their mind. Last thought. But what about Palitha, about the building, the high-rise building that collapsed, and within that small space of time, without their knowledge, they're gone.
Yeah, they're gone, but there's real that the thoughts come in the slightest moment. So slightest moment, that's what it is. We are not talking of minutes or seconds or shunners, you know. So we don't know really. So, but if someone can go without no mind state, that's the way to go. That's the way to go.
And that means we are be constantly thinking.
If you are in constant knowing state, then if you are going with a healthy way. That's the crux of it.
That's the crux.
Sorry, I want to ask you a question.
Anyone else here? Yes.
It's me.
Thank you. That's good advice. Thank you very much. Very good advice.
Yes. Now, Manoharan's turn. Hi, Manoharan.
Reincarnation, about reincarnation. Does it mean that people are born handicapped and poor because of the previous incarnation they committed sin?
They have done some bad things, and this is the repercussion.
We can't simply ignore them because we don't know what they have done in the previous.
Exactly, we don't know what they have done in the previous.
We can't just simply pass a blame like this is because of your previous karma, you're being suffering like that. We have to just overcome that, and then we have to do the needful. Some people, because of some countries invading another country, people are made to poor, their properties are destroyed, and is caused by someone else most of the time. So we simply cannot pass the blame as this is because of your previous birth, you committed sin. It's not fair. Well, it's also.
I agree. I agree.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, I agree. But now even I have been asked this question, if someone has been slaughtering cattle or killing all the time as a job, say that's his job, so he has been slaughtering cattle in this thing for a long time, so he has made lives gone of the cattle many a times, all that. But when that guy, if he is Mr. X, if he is born as Mr. Y, a little boy in the next birth, probably that boy will have to face the repercussions, but that boy is innocent. I mean, he's an innocent fellow in the new life. Right. So, if at all, so these are the questions which I also can't answer. Huh?
He's killing the cattle for someone else to eat. So it's the blame goes to the man who eats, not the man he's killing because he has to live to kill. But the people, because the people are eating, he's killing them. And all life depends on other life. We kill any life, like plant or anything, we kill. So the life, other than the basic life forms, like the planktons and etc., all of the lives depend on other life to live. Even plants, they have life. So there is some sort of a justification in killing, but animals, they don't realize they kill to eat. Otherwise, they can't give a lion some grass to eat. It needs meat. They say single. So it's like that. The life is that each life depends on another life to live. The whole earth is created when it casts a basic form of life, like plankton, etc. It grew up, and another thing started eating this fish. One fish eat another, and another fish eat another, and we eat the fish, and we eat the beef or whatever it is. So there is generally.
It's a complicated process.
You'll have to. Well, I'm a vegetarian, but still, people deny people eating for meat because they have to live. Otherwise, they can't live. So we should not be born then.
Can I interrupt?
Yes.
At the beginning, probably not all of us were there. I put this screen, Interfaith Dialogue Principles by Dr. Leonard Swindler, and kindly provided by Colin. This is where we, between different ideologies or different faith, we share and learn from each other. So what Palitha Manchanayake has shared is what Buddha has taught us and how he understood and he has explained us. And the guidelines, and the first one is the primary purpose of the dialogue is to learn, that is to change and grow in the perception and understanding of reality, and then to act accordingly. Then Colin said that the, the last one was the most important one. He said, each participant eventually must attempt to experience the partner's religion or ideology from within. For a religion or ideology is not merely something of the head, but also the spirit, heart, and whole being, individual and communal. So we had to try and understand, but of course we the questions that comes as a doubt when something is presented, questions comes, we had to ask the questions, and whatever the presenter gives as an answer we take, but we don't want to try to contradict.
No, the presenter is also, I'm also a learner, so
That's right,
I'm no expert, so so it's open for, it's quite open for discussion. If I know, I'll answer. If I don't know, I don't know. That's it.
Number 7, dialogue can take place only between equals. Both must come to learn from each other. Okay, good. So it's just a reminder, because at the beginning we had it, but not everyone were there. So let's continue. Elizabeth wanted to talk.
Elizabeth.
Yes, I'd like to say thank you for that wonderful talk, and learning to understand Buddha's teachings. When I was teaching Baha'i classes and I had to do all religions, I knew very little about any other religions. And we had some Buddhist boys in the class, and they asked me to read the book. And I said, oh yes, I can read the book too. And I'm going along merrily, and then I think, I don't know what I'm talking about here. I'm really not sure, because it was Christian. And having been a Christian before I became a Baha'i, I was suddenly thinking, well, who came first? But I learned that what you explained tonight was what was understood at that time, in that period of history, and the language and the people that he served. And his teachings are true, like Krishna's and like Muhammad's and Christ's and Moses. They all came from the one source. And I think when you're teaching children, there is not enough to argue about. If you explain the time that it was given and how many people were in the world at that time, then that is what's important. But then we move on, because we are an ever-advancing civilization. We move from one to the other, but each one is from God and therefore is important. If I followed part of the Baha'i teachings and part of the Christian teachings, part of Buddha's, there's good in all of them. And there are parts that will always live on, regardless of time. So I thank you very much. You have helped me a lot tonight. I have followed carefully, and the wisdom of Solomon and the wisdom of Buddha, we can't help but learn. And thank you again.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Panja Pillai, are you still there? Are you driving?
No, sorry. Okay, I'm there. Right. I'm Panja.
You are there, yes.
I'm Panja. My dad's name is Pillai, so I couldn't get the internet through, so I used my father's name. Anyway, Mr. Palitha, I was a lover of Buddha from young. When I was a young schoolgirl, I was trying to learn different religions, and I was searching. And I fell in love with Buddhist teaching, the Eightfold Path. And I understand Buddha talks about detachment to this world and human desires. He was born a prince, and he left everything. He went and sat under the bo tree and meditated and found absolute detachment, that is nirvana. And that's a stage, I mean, if I'm correct, that's a stage where human being is reaching a level of spirituality and complete detachment from this earth, which is not easy. So I, as a young girl, had dreams about Buddha, many dreams. And one of my dreams was Buddha was seated on a white lotus, and I was going towards the lotus, very eager to touch and pray. However, I was led to a deep, deep ocean. I mean, in the dream, I fell into the ocean and I got drowned. So that was my dream. And I was shocked. I said, oh my God, what is the meaning of my dream? And I asked my dad. He said, maybe you saw the statue of Buddha and you were thinking too much, so you had this dream. What I later discovered is these Eightfold Paths are beautiful teachings which lead you to the detachment, as what Buddha did. And he had the great heart and sacrifice to live his kingdom, his luxury, his life, and became an ordinary man who was begging for food, and he ate everything what people give, and monastic life and monks and all that. So at the end of it, what I understand is he is a divine guidance to the world at that time, during the time of a kingdom of Kapilavastu, and his father was the king. And what we learn today is they come to guide mankind for a sole purpose of recognizing God and getting detached from this earthly life where we are struggling and not finding the answer. And until and unless the human being setteth his foot on the plane of sacrifice, he is bereft of every favor and grace. And this plane of sacrifice is the realm of dying to its oneself, and the radiance of the living God may then shine forth. That means you die to yourself in this world and you attain God. That is nirvana. So,
do you want to ask that question to? Do you want to ask that particular question to Palitha?
Am I correct in my understanding?
Yeah. Palitha, over to you.
No. The last thing, actually, what's your real question? If you could repeat it for me.
Buddha guided us to nirvana, which is detachment from the worldly desires, dying to ourselves and living in the presence of the omnipotent God and attaining spiritual realm at the end of our journey in this world. Isn't that the path he was leading us to?
I don't know. Buddha's way is to say that in our thoughts to be, as I said, free from greed, hatred, and feeling of I and mine. So greed, get rid of greed, like. So your question is about the, you were talking about some
worldly detachment and desires of the human world.
Yeah, so these
non-judgmental. To be non-judgmental, isn't it?
Yeah, to be non-judgmental. So that's a practical situation in this life. So I don't know about the you're talking about some eternal what's the word? I miss your. That's why I wanted you to repeat the question. That means detachment. Yes, detachment, well and truly detachment.
Yes,
if you are attached, you are greedy. You are greedy. Attachment means greed. So Buddha's main theme is to be not to have greed, hatred, and the feeling of I and mine, me, mine, my clan, my friend, my thought. So I don't know. Your question, have I answered, or am I just going round?
Yes.
I thought, Palitha, that Panja was trying to ask, if I'm right, that does that detachment or getting rid of that I and mine take you to the place where the divine is, or Is that the end of it? Where is that?
Yeah. So that divine thing, I don't know. Divine thing is not in Buddhism.
Not in the Buddhism.
Buddhist books, but the something where if you don't generate thoughts, then that's where nirvana is the nirvana is the expansion of the asset of the moment. As Shana Sampati, that Shana, if you can make it bigger and bigger for the rest of your life, so where you live in with an illuminating mind, without hate, without greed, hatred, and the feeling of I and mine. I think that is Nibbana, that is Nirvana. So I don't know whether about this divine aspect, I don't know. I can't answer.
Okay, can you move to the next question, Palitha? And Panja, are you happy? We'll go into that.
Yeah.
So there was Asim Kamal was putting his hand up. So I think we'll listen to him first.
Oh, thanks very much. This is Asim Kamal, and it was a very knowledgeable sharing. So thank you very much. And I guess every day you learn something new. And as long as, like what the lady says, I really appreciate that you're not judgmental. You share thoughts. Everybody can have a different thoughts. Everybody can have, some people like to have a fish curry, some people like to have a fish fry, and some people like to have a fish grill. So it's a fish. My question is, you mentioned there are 5 saying 5 thoughts, 5 pillars, 5 rules of Buddha's teaching. So I guess the first 4, like the Newton say, every action has reaction, and some of them are good actions and some of them are bad reactions, but some of them are good reactions as well. So 4 of those first pillars, which is nature and rain, they also have a side effect.
And all that,
So COVID-19 is, it's not because of me, but I can die of it. So if you have something impacted you or society by the first 4, either good impact or bad impact, that's beyond your control. But by the 5th control, which is the karma, if something you do wrong, that's you are responsible, and that's what's gonna happen if there is a next life you're gonna attain. Right? So the first 4 beyond your control. Is that correct?
Beyond human control.
Yeah.
Beyond human control, the only control you can have is the karma. You can do good karmas and work out your way. That's again karma. We don't know where it is stored or how it happens. No one knows. But if I help somebody today, what's the benefit I get? I don't know. When I get, but keep on doing good things rather than being harsh to people and use the anti-harmony things, whatever. Or what they say is there are 3 doors. That's the what you speech, your speech, actions, and the thoughts. So if you have good thoughts, you will speak good words and you will do good actions. But if you have bad thoughts, you will do bad actions and bad actions and bad speech. So control the speech, and so one can control the actions and the speech, but the thought is anyone could have any sort of thoughts, like killing or stealing or anything. That's where we need to have the discipline and think of the karma. That what Buddhism says is if you think of good karmas and perform good things, so that you will end up with good things. But now you're answering to answer your question about this COVID thing. I don't know though. I don't know if I have done bad karmas. If I have to go with the COVID thing, I have to go. So I don't know what I have done in the previous births.
I go for what you said in your speech earlier as well. It's a mathematical. So if it's a 5 rules, divided them by 5. So 80% in my life is beyond my control. 20%, which is the karma, is in my control. So what happened to the next or even in this life, I only control 20%. The rest of the 80% is...
Don't go into it like that. All 5 laws are of equal weightage. We don't know. We don't know whether all 5 laws are of equal weightage. We don't know the percentages of the weightages. We don't know. But all we know is the first 4, the law of seasons, species, law of nature, and law of consciousness is happening. And but karma, we have some control, not full control, but some control.
Yeah. Can you move on to the next question, please?
Just one more. Can I ask one more?
Asim, can we go to Colin and then come back to you?
Sure.
Yeah, he has put the hand up. We don't know at what point he's going to come.
Yep, thank you for that. In the beginning, there was a very nice chant of the bell, and also some very beautiful readings from Buddha. Now, I'm just wondering if they can help me to expand this precious moment between 2 thoughts. Because if I just try to create a vacuum, other thoughts will come into it. But can I listen to that chant, and will that help me to use that moment in the right way?
Yeah, it would, because you're making some sort of what's the word, concentration, where you're doing good. It's you're heading in the correct direction. That's what I could say, because that's the correct way to, in a more religious way. You are in a religious movement, religious way, and all religions, I believe, are talking good things, how to live in a just society, a good, in a nice way. So treat everyone equal, love thy neighbor. All these are good things, So all, I think, generally. So try and help people if you could. Try and help people. If you are in a paper to give money and help the poor, do, by all means do it. And if you can't help, you can't help. But if you can afford to throw a little money to a poor beggar down, help, by all means. That person will be delighted. So they say the karmas are the thoughts, the good thoughts that of the beggar. Now, if you give a donation, and that good thought of the beggar, or this person, this gentleman gave me something. So that kind thought, those are the karma effects, I was told. So, but we are still students. So karma is a big topic.
Big topic.
So,
yeah,
good.
thank you. Thank you, Palitha. I think, Colin, are you happy? I thought Manoram wanted to come back.
Interesting topic.
And,
you can argue.
Asim want to come back. But if you haven't finished, I want to ask Tracy, are you really interested to ask a question?
Tracy has left.
That's why she came in. Okay. So, you, Sachi, okay, we'll ask Sachi first, and then we'll ask Manoram because he want to come back, and then we'll finish with Asim.
Yeah, first of all, I like to thanks. It's a wonderful speech. The first part was fantastic. That is the thing we need for the human to understand. You said we should be knowledgeable, no greed, no ego, things like that. Then everything will come. That is a prevention. You gave it nicely, Palitha. We really enjoyed it. But I'm a fan of Buddha. For me, Buddha is the only person who was born in the earth, the best of everything. Maybe Jesus and all, they come. But he himself, we know the history. He left all the kingdom, family and everything, came out after seeing the suffering of the people. So what a kind of person he would be that way. I read about Buddha and all. I was really astonished. I'm a born Hindu, but I am now every religion in the sense. So he is but I have a doubt when you said he talked about karma. I never read anything about him saying that, because he never talked about God. And even here about soul also, he said, you are the soul, you are the body, something like that. That means it is not a transparent this thing. So I think he didn't talk about karma, because if he talked about karma, if he was worried about suffering, he should have known that suffering is for karma. Then he need not have worried about that, no? So that means he didn't correlate karma and suffering. He had a very pure heart, as a very, and what he asked us to clear, to meditate. That is what he really meant, so that our mind will be good and best to live with others, especially with others. And if you would have thought about karma, he did not come to the for us to meditate, because he will say, I simply say, he had done maybe something like that. Oh, he is suffering. He need not worry about it. But he clearly said we should eradicate suffering. And he tried so many things. First, he went off with water. Sorry, went off with the food, then with water and everything. And he tried so many years to help us. And he was begging food and things. And so that type of person, maybe these, sometimes these books have been written by people who are following. There are so many things are happening. I can see, but there are certain things told by the greats, that's our prophets, and everything sometimes are exaggerated. That's what I think. But,
okay, do you want Palitha to respond to you at this point?
I
will leave it there. And can you explain
the remark? Yeah, actually, Buddha has specifically said, intention is karma. Intention is karma. That is, he has, this is a pronounced thing. It's available. Intention is karma, and karma, he analyzed it this way. For karma to proceed, to have a bad karma, say you are killing somebody, you should have three things. The intention to kill. You should have an intention to kill. You should have a plan to kill, certain plan. I'm going to hammer it with the knife, plan to kill, and the execution should take place, all three. So if the intention is not there, Buddha typically said, intention is karma. So if I get the bad thought to kill someone, that intention. But if someone gets killed unintentionally, no karma. He specifically said that. So
I don't think it follows.
Huh?
I don't think it follows with another life. Say, who decides on that? Who decides? If you don't believe on God, or if you exclude God in this, and who decides the karma for the next person?
That we don't know.
That's right. These are all unknowns.
Yeah,
unknown. So I believe in the nature. And also is very close to that.
And also this Buddhism, it's not compulsory. So if you are happy,
it's not compulsory. Nothing is compulsory.
Don't take what I say is correct or anything.
Even religions are not compulsory. I know. Spirituality is the thing we want.
Yeah,
to live with others.
As Siva had already sort of told us, we are now trying to sort of understand each other and to see where the other person is coming from, other religious backgrounds. So we'll try to sort of respond to that, but we'll keep within our space so that
it's not other religion.
Can find answers.
It is my religion.
But you can't find the answer.
It's my religion. That's why I'm here.
I know. It's your religion. Yeah. So you have expressed your religion.
Yeah, that's right.
Then Palitha had sort of brought in his understanding of Buddhist teaching. Yeah. Good. Thank you. Thanks, Sachi. Thank you. So yeah. So Palitha, you must forgive us because we all have our very strong points in different areas. And Sachi, Satya written a book.
I quite understand, no problem. And I'm not bound to answer all the questions because I don't know. I am a student myself. So
that's right.
problem.
That's right.
Yeah.
My pet.
Yeah. So Asim, are you still interested in asking the last question?
Yeah, I do, and I think it's very interesting, and I'm very impressed the way you and the other fellow is taking the question. So that's very impressive. One quick question. I also read a lot about Buddha, and obviously my knowledge is very limited, coming from different cultural background. But I think it's a great ideal information there and history there. One of the saying is that he left the world, like disconnect the world. I mean, I just need a bit more knowledge and clarification, because this world is for us. It is good and bad. And this world was for Buddha as well. And this world was for all prophets and all religions. It's the thing is, leave the world, disconnect, or is the balancing your life with the good and bad? I mean, you got to do a few bad things as well. You got to do many good things as well. But it's just a balance. We have to kill someone to eat something. It's a balance. I don't know. I mean, you might, all of you guys might have.
No, it's a difficult question to answer. Say if it is, if I put it this way, Sri Lanka is an island. So those who are living around the sea, so their only way of to go and kill fish and then sell them and live. So so if that is like just as much, if just as much one guy is is in the abattoir killing cattle, that's his job. So so like that. So I don't know really. I have no answers. If it is coastal people near the sea, they have to live what they go in a boat and catch fish and sell. So or any other.
Yeah. Thank you.
No, thank you.
Thank you, Palitha. I think you need to come back, Palitha, and share something later if you can gather all the questions that we have posed. I think we are coming up to 18 minutes past 9.
I think, John, you missed
Subha.
Mano wanted to ask a question.
Yeah.
I think you missed Mano. He wanted to
Okay,
ask.
Mano wanted to come back again,
Yeah.
but he asked a question early. That's why we want to give chance to others who haven't asked a question. So if Mano wants to ask a question, that's fine.
This may be another silly question, but Buddha was born as a prince, and he married very early at the age of 14 or so, and he has a wife and a child. Then he saw on his life, he saw a poor, sick man and a dead man, and he gave up everything and started meditating. So, well, is that correct? Because he had a wife and a child, because his wife was in the royal family there, but if you are committed, like in our life, if you are married, if I have a child, I can't just forget them and then go and meditate, do anything. You know, I have to fulfill my life and then meditate. But anyhow, but Buddhism, its philosophy, everything is perfect. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a way of life, Buddhism. But it doesn't, I mean, I don't know whether it sets up an example, like, you know, he may be all right because his wife is in the royal family. Again, you marry a woman, have a child, and then forget everything and go to meditate. Is that doesn't tie in with our way of life? I mean, human life.
Okay, Palitha, over to you.
No, I have
over
no
to
answer
you.
to it. I have no answer to it.
No answer.
I have an answer. He was forced to marry by the parents.
Can I help? I mean,
When he was small, he was forced to marry.
Yeah. No, I think his father, when the baby was born, he went and checked the fortune. I mean, the fortune teller told him that this child will become leave the palace. He will be, unearthly. He will leave this place. So the father was worried. He got him married early in order to avoid him exposed to the sufferings and death and all. He kept him in the palace. He protected him. Sorry, this one, we watch a movie in Netflix about Amitabha. So if you have this Netflix channel,
Yeah.
You watch this story of Buddha. It is a very touching story.
Very
It's
nice.
all acted out in Hindi and English subtitle, and that the storyline will be there to show how at birth he was protected, and then one day he went out with a friend, and then he saw all the sufferings and a lot of meanings. So I just, I mean,
What's the name of the? What's the name?
I'm not too sure.
Netflix Buddha.
Netflix.
It's titled Buddha.
Yeah. Can I add something? This is
At the moment, it is not showing.
Yeah.
It was sometimes I wanted to see it again, but
yeah.
You can try it.
Can I add something? Actually,
yes, please.
Buddha was the King Suddhodana, Siddhartha's father, gave him. There were 3 palaces for the 3 seasons and all the comforts, and he didn't want the son to go and see the poor areas of the country. So that's why. So one particular day he has gone with some other, and he has seen a sick person. So he has seen a sick person, he has seen a dead person, and then someone getting old person, and then a hermit. So these 3, he realized, I'll have to face it. I'll get sick one day, I'm getting old, I have no control, and then I'll have to face the death. And this hermit who is looking for salvation, that's the way to go. That's what he was thinking. That's what.
Thank you. Thank you, Palitha. Thank you, everyone, because we were talking about the teaching of Buddha. That was the talk. That was the presentation. But all around, the life of Buddha and his growing up is another topic altogether, and that's something that fascinates everyone, and everyone likes to know about it. But thank you, Palitha. This was a very enlightening talk that I've taken notes of every word you said. You won't believe. Every word you uttered is on my paper, and I think I'll go through it again because it'll refresh me in my studies earlier. But thank you so much, and we do appreciate.
And
over to Siva.
And we are recording it as well. So anyone who wants to listen again, you can listen and then write down the questions and research more. And then next time when Palitha comes, you can.
If I could answer, yes.
And you can do a research as well, Palitha.
Yeah.
Siva, I'd like to have a copy of that. If you have recorded it, I'd like to see how I performed.
And you want to say something?
Yes, please. I just want to remind you, especially those who worry about the karma, because in Buddhism study, always there's a God of mercy there. So the God of mercy appear on every religion, and they can provide you with salvation and help you to get out of the problem that you have. And the second thing, that God teaching will last forever, and God teaching is a continuous teaching, go through times and periods to help mankind. Therefore, Buddha teaching is still very relevant for today's problems. And the third one is Buddha doesn't talk about go to paradise or nirvana for himself, but for the human being. He get a theory and process and actions. He teaching people how to get to enlightenment, the end of suffering, but he not only for himself or his family, but for the whole generation of humankind on earth. So therefore, he tried to make us become like divine beings, so we won't feel suffer. So the first song that I heard, the bell, it made me very sad. Because why? Why we need that sort of songs to cheer us up? We're supposed to be happy by ourselves as a being of God, creation. So why people cry, and why we need songs that make us even sad and cry even more. So we should have like dancing, like you say, singing, ballet dancing, you know? You run ballet around, you run up to the air, you do taekwondo, you do judo, you make yourself happy, gymnastics. So we are human being of God. And God teaching is forever run. It's not because like God yesterday, no more relevant to nowadays problem. It's not like that. And you don't worry about karma because the God of mercy is always there. And your right hand side and left hand side. You know, right hand and left hand. They balance you. And the other thing that you say we have to do good work, but that don't only apply for people healthy mind. With a healthy body, healthy spirit, healthy being able to do things. But with sick people, they can't do it. You know, with sick people, they just don't appreciate life. And some people, they only want to, you know, like not appreciation of what they were given by God.
So which song did you say that made you sad?
The bear, the first one.
Yeah, this one?
Yes. It is so sad because people are supposed to be like a lotus flower already. You know, they're supposed to be born this beautiful flower, like Bahá'u'lláh said, in a garden. And they're supposed to be happy. They're supposed to sing every morning.
Yes.
So why we had to need a song like this to make us to think about death and sorrow?
But it says, and they transcend the path of sorrow and death.
Yeah, but why we worry about death? We should, like, people should be like happy for today and the moment.
Yeah, that's what we should not, it says the song or whatever the chant was about, not to worry about those, to make our mind calm,
Yeah.
our body relax.
Yeah, because if they read things like that.
Maybe next time, if you can select some songs for us.
You know, if people just sitting down and cry, they can be crying all day long. You know?
Miss you. The Buddhist chants, the chanting, you know, the chanting